Like I say, Richard Nixon and John McCain thought that they just needed exoskeleton suits and they would be on equal footing with my exoskeleton life forms. And there is a big difference between an exoskeleton suit and an exoskeleton life form. And technically, they wiped the walls with my exoskeletons for a little bit, or somewhat. But unfortunately, like I say, they made one major error, and that is that they had to have suits that were exoskeletons. And I think they might have gotten power armor at some point in time or something like that. But the thing was, of course, is that there's a big difference between an insectoid or exoskeleton life form and someone wearing an exoskeleton suit, and that is among a lot of things that the exoskeletons did not perceive or feel pain. They would literally just follow commands and do as they're ordered, which was basically a queen hive person or something like that. Like I said, they would grab the exoskeletons and think that they could torture information out of them, and it's like, well, they're connected to something a lot larger. Um, and usually like a queen or me or something like that. Like I said, the exoskeletons could birth thousands of exoskeletons all at one time. The queens could just, much like an insect hive. So going up against an exoskeleton, it's kind of much like an ant. You see one ant and you squash it. You see 100 trillion ants, and well, there's not much you can do about them except for run or try to find some place where they cannot go, which is basically impossible. So anyway, so John McCain and Richard Nixon were all going after exoskeletons so they could be on equal footing with the bugs. But, well, they never would be, of course. And so they were thinking that they could go back and just grab a queen or a hive and take it over. But that really wasn't going to happen. Like I said, they can birth thousands or millions of exoskeletons all at the same time, just like fleas. The exoskeletons, they're very universal lateral. They're just little eggs, and basically thousands of little eggs, and they'll just sit there until the conditions are right or until they're told to hatch. And then they will all hatch, or as many will hatch as needed. Pretty much, they can kick it for thousands of years or hundreds of years or whatever, and then one day just decide to hatch when they're told or given the right signal. And basically then they would all hatch, or the amount that was needed would hatch. They're very useful for many different things, and I created them along with a bunch of other things. So anyway, so John McCain and Richard Nixon thought that they would just get exoskeleton suits and then they would be protected from these things. Anyway, something along those lines, basically, I believe. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, I gave one of my queens or one of my exoskeleton groups orders to deal with a certain group. And so they were going after me thinking that they could grab me or kill me or somehow avert what was coming for them. But like I say, of course, getting the rest of Earth and the rest of humanity involved in their stupid war over something stupid that they did was just kind of ridiculous. So, and later on, people realized that, basically we were all together as far as having one leader, one master, one creator. Me. One thing in common. I'm in common with a lot of different groups and a lot of different life forms. I created quite a few, 4 or 5 or 12 or whatever, and the best, most sophisticated life forms of all. And basically other people learned about how life is created and formed and actually pervade through the galaxy from me. And my life forms are responsible for the stars and the planets and basically all the matter in the galaxy. Or at least a good chunk. At least a third, they say. Or I say anywhere from a third to 2/3 or something like that of all the matter in the galaxy is from my life forms. Because I told them exactly how to create particles and how to create water and basically everything. So, and I believe that resources in life should basically, I created 800 galaxies because I didn't want my life forms to butt up against each other and start fighting or war or have a problem for resources. And it takes a long time to create a galaxy or a solar system. So anyway, but once you can start the process going, you can have a lot of matter very quickly. And at some point in time, about 50 trillion years ago, Richard Nixon or somebody or something was saying that there wasn't enough resources and that the sun would burn out and that we had to go and conquer and take over. And basically, he was just trying to stop the exoskeletons that knew of my existence and were just basically trying to kill me and kill them and everything else. And it didn't really work out. Trying to tell the humans that basically humanity had to fight to survive. And basically, he was just trying to pretty much get a whole bunch of people to go get resources for him or something like that, or dig him out of the hole he had managed to dig himself into, which was pretty much going up against Lucifer's star, and pretty much he knew he was going to die. Anyway, or he had pretended to be me, and others had found out that he wasn't me. He wasn't connected to me, he wasn't part of me, he had never been me, he had nothing to do with me, and he was nothing more than a very confused life form. Anyway, so I was just like, whatever. Anyway, that's why the saints, the church, it's all bullshit and all just fucked up and lies and all that. And just a bunch of people who are going to die and deserve to die, trying not to die. And are going to get punished and tortured for trying to pretend to be or having some connection with the Creator. And realistically, they were just trying to kill me or get to me. Which wasn't really possible. So, anyway, yeah. I don't really know and I don't really care. Like, it's just a whole bunch of lies and bullshit and just basically a bunch of people running around doing drugs, killing people, and pretending to be something special when they're really not. And I don't really care. You know, a lot of people basically saying that water is rare or gold is rare or we need more water. There's not enough water in the universe and we must guard it and safeguard it and keep it and all that. And it's like, there's tons of water in the world. What are you talking about in the universe? It's all throughout space. It collects places. It's a state of matter, where they were trying to say that matter, it's like it's kind of, it's like if you reduce the atmosphere that's in this room, all this water will boil away until it's nothing but steam, vapor, and air. Like I said, that's how my engines work. They basically vaporize or use the vacuum of space to turn this water into burnable oxygen, and then they apply alcohol or a fuel source, and it burns. So this much water with another cup of alcohol, and you have an engine. That's how my spaceships work. Lucifer Star. That's why it's called LSFA for America, or 1, first starship. And it had 747 wings that were longer than the 747 wings. So the 747 wings is about half, and the other one's about that much further. And Richard Nixon and John McCain were trying to say that it was their ship, or that they were connected to it, or that they had paid for it, that they owned it, or that they had something and they didn't. More than the fact that they had killed everybody at the launch site and killed everybody else and had covered up that it had ever launched in the first place. And then 50 years later, or 80 years later, or 100 years later, they did this fake radio show and played this film of this launch and saying that this is live, this is live. And they just put "this is live" at the bottom. But it was a film reel of a high-speed camera. So people thought that that's the way it looked when the ships launched. And it's like, no, actually that happens. That was a slowed down. They didn't even realize that it was a high-speed camera that actually took those shots. They thought that that was just the way spaceships went up. Because they just played the reel, and they didn't realize that when the reel was recorded, it was playing really fast, and with a special camera and a special kind of film that could take the really fast speed. And that was actually happening in split seconds. So when they played it on the TV, they played "This is live," and they played it like "This rocket is launching now." And people went out looking for the rocket launch with the contrails and said, "There's no contrails, there's no launch." And the other people said, "There's nothing launched." And you could turn on the radio and you hear, "And this is Mission Control. Major Tom, do you hear us?" And so it was like, "Yes, we read you. All systems are checking, going good, and we're proceeding to orbit." And you actually don't even hear the rocket when you're actually in the rocket. But they're...